Let's talk about the hero's journey in a way that most of you hopefully will find exciting and fun. There was a movie that came out many years ago. I don't think many of you were born. Most of you were born just a couple of weeks ago. The movie first came out in 1999. Only Ray and I. And maybe Abby. Were you?
In 1999.
Oh, you're such an old man. So, in 1999 came a movie. It was called The Matrix. It's very much like the Groundhog Day movie. It's very much like Plato's allegory of the cave. It's very much like the life of the Buddha. It's very much like the life of Gilgamesh, Moses, Muhammad, Lao Tzu. Because if you're able to understand a single life that has been heroic, you can understand all heroic lives, regardless of race, color, and religious affiliation, right? So, now, let's tackle the names, let's tackle the numbers, and let's look at some of the main themes in the movie. Go home and watch the movie, and watch it with your companion. In fact, watch it with someone you just met. Take him home, grab some Zachary's pizza with some Caesar salad, okay? And sit and watch this movie with this new person. And once the movie is done, look at them and say, I want to tell you what I think about the movie. And then sit back and just tell them. And they'll just look at you as if you're a god. That's how you will capture them, manipulate them, trap them, exploit them, abuse them, use them. In a good way, of course. Remember, we have no choice but to exploit. Now, you may shake your head, and you can shake your head all you want until your head falls off. But the truth is, we are creatures that have no choice to exploit anything that's living if you want to survive. If you haven't done any work for this class, there's a good chance you're going to come to my office and you're going to cry. You want to exploit me emotionally. And you know what? I'll give in. I'll give you a C. Okay, now, the very beginning of the movie, the camera zooms in on 3 numbers, 5, 0, and 6. 5 is the number of a human being, 5 senses. The creators of Maya, the creators of desires, all of which are unexamined, unreflected on. That's who we are. We are number 5. We are also condemned to be wired in this other way. There is a number 6 that lives inside us. It's a number for perfection. It's a number for beauty. It's a number for unification. All of you go to school for one simple reason. You want to beautify your life by having a degree, by getting a good job, by making good money, by leaving Oakland, by buying a nice house, buying a nice companion, and buying a few kids. And then going to Costco and buying yourself a nice little coffin that has Bluetooth and air conditioning. Because you don't want to be miserable when you die. Okay? So remember, all of us are stuck. There is a part of us that desires to be human. There's a part of us that desires to be like angels or God. There's a part of you that is a man. You want to go out there and dominate. But there's a part of you that desires to act compassionately, justly. There's a part of you as a woman where you realize your body has power. And so you flaunt it, but there's a part of you that says, I want respect. So remember, all of us in this class desire to occupy two worlds, but oftentimes it's the number 5 that we occupy. Now, if you and I have occupied the world number 5 for a long, long, long time, the question is, once in a while, you'll be inspired to move into the world number 6. But that inspiration is short-lived. You're never going to take the hero's journey. It's not possible. Now, one of the things you need to understand about the hero's journey is the following. There is a physical heroic journey, an emotional heroic journey, an intellectual heroic journey, a psychological heroic journey, and a spiritual heroic journey. If you have never had a father in your life, your task in life is not to be a Jesus Christ. Find a decent companion, be a good goddamn father. That's your journey. If you have been depressed, and depression is a psychological component, your journey is not becoming a Jesus Christ, it's to overcome depression. Now, one of the things you need to understand about any heroic journey is the following. Observation, awareness, examination, reflection, sacrifice. These are the components that demand in any journey. If you're an alcoholic, you got to get rid of your friends. You got to get rid of habits. If you're a Jesus Christ, you got to get rid of your parents. You have to get rid of your communal tradition. Everybody has to go through the same stuff. So try not to make the idea of perfection as spiritual. If you enjoy a topic and you want to write an essay on it, what exactly is it that you do? You think about it all the time. You write, you edit, you revise, you trash it, you start over again. And it's only for a crummy essay, and yet you demand perfection from yourself. Okay? Now, the movie, The Matrix, is not so much about being a good father. It's not so much about being a good student of a philosophy class or any class. It's not so much about being a good companion. The movie, The Matrix, is about how does one divorce the Matrix and become a slave to Morpheus, the Greek god of dreams, who gives you dreams that are divine. I have no doubt Snoop Dogg gives some of us dreams. It's about money. It's about power. It's not a bad dream to have. But the task of Morpheus is something profoundly different. He's like Socrates. He doesn't care for money. He doesn't care for sex. He just wants to make sure that you can think well. And the only way you can think well is by falling in love with philosophy. Once you fall in love with philosophy, yes, you can go back to the Matrix. Find yourself a companion. But you'll do it through the philosophy of Morpheus. So remember, number 5 is simply being human. Number 6, moments for many of us who are inspired to attain perfection, to be in the presence of beauty. Okay? Now, one of the ways that you can truly get to number 6 and stay in number 6 is the number 0. It's a number for death. It's a number for emptiness. Most of you in this class know if you don't like your father and you've been to therapy, your therapist will try to do whatever he or she can to neutralize the emotion called hate. And once that emotion is there inside you no more, you can look at your father, but you will no longer hate him. So that burden is removed from you. So remember, worries about the Matrix worries about grade, about marriage, about children, about who you are, what other people think of you, has to do with the fact that we haven't yet entered the number zero. Like Jean-Paul Sartre, we very much live in the eyes of society. Okay? Now, how does one get to number zero? Because you can't get to 6. You can't move into a brand new relationship if there is still a good amount of anger inside you about your mom, about your dad, about your ex. It won't work. Human beings are this toxic wasteland. Nothing ever disappears. And you can put your head in this hole that you've created for yourself and self-deceive, but you can only do it for so long. Now, one of the things you need to understand about the world of numerology is that there are master numbers. Some master numbers are double digits, and that's fine. But for the most part, if you want numerology to have meaning, you need to end up with a single digit. So you have 5, again, the number of just being a regular, ordinary human being with all sorts of desires that you and I have on a daily basis. You also have the number 6 inside you, which is your desire for perfection, a life that's better than your parents, which is what all kids, when they look at their parents, they say, I don't want to turn out like my old man. I want to turn out like my parents. I want my life to be more meaningful. So you add the 5 to the 0 to the 6, and you end up with the number 11. But you can't have 11. The 2 ones need to be added up. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 is the number for contamination. It's a number for society. But most importantly, 2 is the number for conflict. Your journey into the underworld, and I say underworld because you need to go into Hades, dark, lonely, frightening place to be in. You have to have a good amount of conflict inside you. If there is no conflict inside you, you're never going to take the heroic journey. Ask yourself, when do couples file for divorce? It's a slight hiccup initially. Then the emotion of discontent grows bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes like a tumor inside you. Yes, no, maybe, yes, no, maybe. What about the kids? What about this? What about that? Guilt, shame, regret, remorse. What's my parent going to say? What's God going to say? What am I going to say? And then all of a sudden, they just go to the courthouse. Or they make it work. But the point I'm trying to make, you can get to the number 6 and stay in number 6 without intense conflict. Now, the thing you need to understand about conflict is that it is painful. با درد بساز چون دوای تو منم. Live with the pain of conflict. If you live in pain long enough, you will see that inside this world of pain is your medicine. It's the remedy. If you hate your father, go inside this world of hate. Live in it. Eventually you will come out purged. با درد بساز چون دوای تو منم. Make peace with pain. In it you will find your remedy. با کس منشین که آشنای تو منم. Your friend is not compassion. Your friend is not forgiveness. Your friend is not distraction. Your friend who's always following you, who's always by your side, is pain, is hate. This is a poem by Abu Sa'id Abul Khair. 800 years ago. For those of you who have a checkered past, who have a history that's filled with negative emotions, ask yourself, have you ever had a more faithful companion than your negative emotions? The answer is no. Have you had moments of joy, respite, calm? Absolutely. But be honest. Your most faithful companion is your hatred for someone or something. And the message, the wisdom of this poem is, that's your companion. Be friends with it. Eventually, this friend will show you wisdom, and that wisdom will lead you out. با کس منشین. Don't sit with strangers, whether people or emotions. Don't read books about happiness. Don't read books about positive thinking. Don't be an idiot. If you want to be an idiot in the right way. Everyone will tell you, walk away from the pain. Good people will tell you, go towards the pain, understand it. There is your freedom. گر کشته شدی مگو که من کشته شدم. If the pain is killing you, don't say I'm dying. شکرانه بده که خونبهای تو منم. You will be resurrected. You just need to be patient. So remember, the only way that you and I can get to number 6 is through conflict. Now here's the thing. Conflict happens only in one way. You need to be reminded of the number 6 that lives inside you. You can't remember today for a minute, forget for the next 23 hours. It doesn't work that way. You need a Socrates, a gadfly, who will sit on you, bite you continuously, every single moment of the day, until your conflict grows and grows and grows, after which there is no escape. You have been contaminated. Hemlock, the poison, lives inside you. But this particular poison empties you of being a number 5 as much as possible. You will have sex, but for love. You will speak, but only if it has meaning. You will sign up for classes, but not for an A or a B or a degree. You will get into relationships, not because you're lonely. Now, the moment you enter the world of conflict, your name changes. You're no longer Peter or Thomas or Joaquin or Ray or Shanti or Abi or Amir. Your name is Thomas A. Anderson. Thomas is the disciple of Christ, consumed by doubt. All of us in this class have had moments of perfection. We wanted to continue, but then we doubt. All of us in this class have intuition, but we doubt. And for those of you who don't know the story of Thomas, is Jesus is dead. He comes back to life and is walking around naked. Thomas saw him die with his own eyes. And as he is going to Safeway, he runs into Jesus. And Thomas looks at Jesus and says, "Yo, bro, what you be doing here?" Oakland lingo. And Jesus looks at this man and says, "Why you be so surprised?" I'm alive, dig it. And Thomas says, I ain't no digging nothing. It's good English, huh? And Thomas looks at Jesus and says, I don't believe that you're actually Jesus. I don't believe that you've come back to life. Let me touch your wounds. And Jesus says, fine, but blessed are those who believe without seeing. Now, you can take this in a variety of different ways. If you are a good, honest student, don't ever believe. Always test things. Do not be deceived because emotionally you like someone. Test them out with your intellect. Thomas does not desire to be deceived. Doubt is good. It's healthy. For those of you who like Asian philosophy, namely Taoism, and one of its major founders, Chung Tzu, he was once asked, as a warrior, what sort of a sword should I carry into the battlefield? And he looks at this young lad and says, the sword of doubt. Doubt. Doubt everything. But if that's too Asian for you, maybe you will enjoy French philosophy, René Descartes. Read his book, The Meditations. 6 tiny, pathetic little books. Doubt everything that you can't be certain. So for those of you in this class who doubt, it's just wired in us. And remember, we are not all powerful. We are not all knowing. We're not all present everywhere. We have limitations. Do not trust yourself too much. Don't be so arrogant. Always leave a good amount of space inside you that houses doubt. Don't ever imagine you understand your parents. You don't. Don't ever imagine you understand your companions. You don't. Don't ever imagine you understand yourself. You certainly don't. Anderson. 2 words, Ander and son. Ander means man. And the last 3 letters, S-O-N, son. You put them all together, what you have is son of man who doubts. We are born to doubt. We are born in the world of uncertainties. And what happens when you are uncertain? You find yourself in the unknown. What happens when you walk in the unknown? You have fear. And you're fully justified to have fear. You have been betrayed by life. You have been betrayed by your own imagination, by your own intellect. Go into life with fear. It is good and healthy. If someone says, I love you, fear, doubt. If someone says, I hate you, there isn't much you can do about that. Now, the middle initial A, alpha, it is symbolic for perfection. Perfection lives between 2 rocks, doubt and simply being human. And you have to overcome both of them. That's how the journey is traveled. Thomas Anderson lives in room 101. He lives alone. All those who enjoy or want to go on this heroic journey, whether it's about overcoming your anger towards your parents, towards life, towards yourself, you may have lots of friends, but deep down, you're always going to be alone. And if you happen to be as insightful as the Buddha, he's not going to be deceived by your laughter, by your money, by your power, by the intellect because you've read a few lousy books. Because he knows that human beings at their very core are always going to be alone. Whatever you accumulate in number 5 will be destroyed by those moments you enter number 6. Hate your father as much as you can. That's fine. You'll catch yourself. Maybe I should forgive him. Why the hell do I have so much anger? How the hell do I get rid of it? You are condemned by the perfection that lives inside you. That's just the way it is. So, if you're a person aware of number 5, 0, and 6, no, you're always going to be alone. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't get married. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have children. What it does mean is that you know the sort of organism that you are. You will get married. You will say, I love you. But deep down, you know that just because you love someone, it doesn't mean you have a companion that understands the number 6 that exists within you. For those of you in this class who enjoy reading this German philosopher Hegel, you know, history has a way of unfolding itself and revealing its mysteries to us. And if I was to put words in his mouth, I would say, whatever history you've had thus far, do not judge that history with a pathetic emotion that lives inside you, because emotions are just that, judgments. Have a judgment, but make sure it is open-ended. In other words, allow history to walk inside you and reveal its other messages to you. The only purpose of history is one of unfoldment. I don't like Hegel, but I will use his ideas to further my own agenda. Knowing history for history's sake is useless. Know your history so that it can help you where you are now. Now, how is conflict created? Morpheus. You cannot go on a hero's journey if you have not been inspired by Morpheus. If you don't have a dream that has come to you from the gods. Or, if you don't have a dream that has come to you from your therapist. If your therapist looks at you and says, there is a way you can get over this anger, that's a dream. That's your Morpheus. Remember, all of us have physical tragedies, emotional tragedies, psychological tragedies, intellectual tragedies, spiritual tragedies. Each stage in which a tragedy takes place, there is a Messiah for it. There is a Morpheus for it. Okay? Now, but a dream by itself is not sufficient. You need a trinity. You need a woman, i.e., you need a psyche, i.e., you need a gnosis, i.e., you need a feminine force, a creative force that comes out of Morpheus. God is good. Jesus, man, is good. But without the Holy Spirit, Jesus simply remains a man. It's the Spirit that connects Jesus, the man, to God. That is the function of Trinity. How does Thomas Anderson become Neo? And remember, Neo means one, unification, light, transcendence. And I'm skipping a lot of scenes because we ain't got time. He is shot in the subway. He is dead. What happens to him? He is kissed. By whom? Trinity. What happens when he is kissed? He comes back to life. What happens when he comes back to life? Nothing can touch him from that point on. He is no longer Thomas A. Anderson. He becomes Neo. Go ahead.
I just want to point out the Matrix. Like, there's a lot of ideas in the Matrix, but and they're all really complicated. But the core theme for the Matrix is about being trans. Like, both the directors ended up being trans.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't like that interpretation.
No, they explicitly said that.
I don't care what they say. It doesn't matter what anybody says. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to interpret a book according to my own history. You read books? Or were you there when Hegel was writing his book? No. But what do? You're a vehicle. You interpret. You're selective. I'm no different. Oftentimes when people write books, I have no idea what they're writing. It just happens to them. If you have a journal, go to your journal. What happens? Accidentally an emotion is generated. Inspired, you go to the library, you sit in the cubicle and you write. It's an accident. Next time you want to write, do me a favor. Look at a plot of land. Design a map. Be an architect. See what goes where. How big you want it to be. And then go to Home Depot. And then pour concrete. And then build your house. Now that is a map that's been designed. Its future is known. Most of the books that you and I read are written accidentally. Someone is inspired, they write.
So, I mean, you subscribe to like that the author as an idea?
No, all I'm saying is that we are animals that like to interpret things. And it's going to be very different than what the author or the creator, their agenda is very different. You sign up for a class, for a philosophy class. Why? Because you have a certain interpretation of philosophy. You come here with an agenda. And when you realize that agenda is not being fulfilled, what do? You play with the walls, you play with your cup, you play with this, you play with that. It's all about interpretation.
That sounds like
That's what all of us do. Now, having said all of that nonsense, it's good to see all of you. I'll send you all a Zoom link for next week since I won't be here. Just in case you don't want to log into Zoom, that's fine. I have a summer class in this very room. I think it begins June 20th. Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 6 to 9. You don't have to sign up if you don't want to, but you're welcome to come in and sit for a few minutes and then leave, just in case you're bored. And just in case you have found yourself a brand new companionship, bring them to class. Let me harass them.